News with Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
So just yesterday, I believe, we were talking about, or at least within the last couple days, about how we don't really expect peace in the Middle East to come anytime soon. Well, maybe Trump is going to help push that along a little bit, because he says a peace agreement has been agreed upon by Israel and the United Arab Emirates. On Twitter, Trump called the agreement between our two great friends a huge breakthrough. Speaking in the Oval Office, Trump told reporters that the two countries will exchange embassies and ambassadors and begin cooperation across the board. And he said he expects other countries to follow the lead on this going forward. So good luck, Iraq and Iran and Lebanon and Jordan.
Jared did it.
It may be nice
at the time.
It may be nice. It may be. I wonder. This country's becoming more secular. We're just kind of drifting away from religion.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you think these other countries that are? I mean, the religion is kind of feel like it's driving a lot of the animus and the fighting, and it all seems to be this group against that group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe the world will sort of drift away from religion, and maybe as it drifts away, maybe these tensions will cool a little.
Very possible.
I don't know.
I can see the trend being to drift away from religion gradually. Yeah, for sure.
Well, and when you put it like, when you talk about Sharia law or something that's, ages and ages and eons old, and that's
right.
Controlling, stoning women or, mercy killing because somebody was raped or whatever, the things that are just such a bygone era that we couldn't even wrap our heads around. If that's based in religion and that starts to erode, then I guess I would consider that a step in the right direction.
Well, I just imagine and
that goes for many religions.
we know the ones you're talking about. All right. As the world gets older, we get percentages less religious every 10 years. It just goes. It just has to go that way. There's more data and more science and more satellites in the air and whatever. So it would make sense that would be true globally. It just would, and maybe that's part of it. Maybe we'll incrementally get there just through this long slog. Now, of course, it'd be nice just to fast track it by all these assholes not killing each other in the name of religion. But if that's not going to work, then maybe we just have to weed the religion out or have a lesser percentage involved. Anyway, all right, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Well, more White House news. Kanye recently took a meeting with Trump's son-in-law and White House staffer Jared Kushner, according to TMZ. Despite the no politics rule on his vacation with Kim and the family, Kanye reportedly snuck off to privately meet with Kushner while the family was in Colorado. Ivanka, Jared, and Kanye apparently linked up in Telluride in Colorado. Kanye tells the New York Times that he talked about Black empowerment, and he tweeted out, "I'm willing to do a live interview with the New York Times about my meeting with Jared, where we discussed Dr. Claude Anderson's book, Powernomics."
How are you going to have a secret meeting in this day and age? Is it possible?
And tell the New York Times you'll tell them all about it?
Yeah, it feels like it sabotaged.
Who outed them? Was it a secret meeting?
Kanye outed himself.
Sounds like Kanye.
He just outed himself?
Sounds like it, yeah. He told them they had a secret meeting, and he'll tell you all about it.
He'd make the world's worst criminal. Could you imagine, trying to pull a caper off with him? Now, listen, mum's the word. We never met. You understand?
Ooh, that's a good hook. Mum's the word. Okay, I can use that.
You don't even know me because we've never met before. Understanding? I gotta stay on script.
Now, how do you spell robbery? Is it EY or just Y? Because I'm tweeting about.
Remember,
our
you're already your checklist of duct tape and zip ties. Get rid of that. Burn that in the fire.
I'm TikToking this planning session.
Oh
right
no!
Now.
Jesus Christ, what a crazy world. Kanye was at Danny Two Sheets' wedding in Texas.
What?
Did I ever tell you guys that?
No. I didn't know that.
No. Danny Two Sheets was probably married about 12 years ago, I would say, in Texas. I'm trying to think of how we could figure that one out. Matt might have it on my calendar or something, but Kanye was definitely invited, and he definitely was there.
We're going to need more. I'm sorry.
That's all I really remember.
How do they know each other?
I think Kanye. I maybe this is true because it was true for Eminem. So I don't know if it's a universal thing, but Kanye, I think, loved Crank Yankers, and I think Kanye contacted Daniel to had his own idea for, it's crazy Kanye, right? You're watching a show going, I love that show. I'm going to get hold of the guy who does that show, and we're going to do our own show. So I think there was some of that.
Wow. But as opposed to Eminem, who just did a bit, Kanye bought a ticket and a tux and went to the wedding.
Yeah, so they had that relationship. Yeah.
That is my mind is blown.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I should have brought that up at the time. I don't know what I was thinking.
Can we get some more information from Danny, because this is a big one. This is a big discovery.
Yeah, I'll hit him up. I remember I think Kanye was there, and I think Pete Berg got really drunk, and they had to throw him out or some version of that.
I know he's working on a puppet show with Kanye a few years back.
He was working on a puppet show with Kanye a few years back.
Oh my God.
I don't think that's the same show. Oh, well, yes. Okay, we'll go with that. So there you go.
It's quite a revelation.
I know.
So Uber may not be in California much longer, and Lyft might be going the same way. Yeah.
That was one of the rare instances where I got so drunk the night before I couldn't effectively play softball the next day.
Oh.
And that's a level of drunk that I don't normally get to.
It's dark days.
Because I can usually tie one on the night before and still play some pretty damn decent softball the next afternoon. I was fucking useless. I was popping up every time I got to the plate. I remember Kevin Hench was disgusted with me. He's like, "Oh, what happened? I thought you were a good softball player." I can't focus. I was sweating beer and shots out of we went to some barbecue place the night before and everyone just tied one on. I think it was it must have been, I don't know. It must have been in Austin. We must have went to Austin. Anyway.
Is that where the wedding was?
Yeah, I seem to recall it was around there, but too drunk to play softball the next day. That's drunk. Yeah. All right, sorry. Lyft and Uber.
Yeah, we might not have Uber and Lyft here very much longer. Just depends on how things roll. So they might have to shut down their ride-hailing operations in California if a court ruling that blocks it from classifying its drivers as independent contractors goes into effect. This is according to Fox News. Big story right now. California judge Monday granted the state's request for a preliminary injunction blocking Uber and Lyft from classifying their drivers as independent contractors rather than employees. Several 100,000. These are, gig workers in the gig economy. The CEO said in a statement to CNBC, if the court doesn't reconsider, then in California, it's hard to believe we'll be able to switch to our model of full-time employment quickly. I want to say, was this AB? What was the proposition? But that basically, yeah. Everybody had to switch from being an independent contractor to being an employee, or basically owning your own business and being contracted that way. So if people are just driving...
AB5, sorry.
AB5, thank you. Then that doesn't fly in California anymore. If they took them on, they would have to give them, a certain pay, benefits, and Uber's like, how that would eviscerate our business model.
Well, the thing is Uber is the price it is, and Uber is whatever it is because they've sidestepped the business model that we have with cabs and medallions and all the official. So this is it's one of those things where you have a model. The model's not that efficient. The models don't get a lot of competition, and then they grow less efficient. And before you know it, you got the LA Unified School System, and then somebody says, I got an idea. I'm going to go start my own school and put out a better product at a cheaper price. And that's kind of Lyft and Uber. And the government kind of is stymied for a little bit. They go huh? Ooh, what are you doing? I guess it sounds okay. And then eventually they go, wait a minute, how do we get paid?
Yeah, or what? A lot of money off this.
What's in it for us? And then they start to work it out. And then eventually they come back and go, hey, charter school, you got to start paying for, or whatever that thing is. So they kind of figure it out.
Eventually.
And for us, and remember all the
food trucks.
Yeah, it's like there was like an early version of this where it's like how safe is this going to be? These guys aren't bonded or whatever it is, and it's like we don't care who picks us up and drives us somewhere. But the problem is, and look, I can kind of see both sides. So here's where my ultimate decision. Here's how I render my decisions. I get that. Uber and Lyft are sidestepping this thing in order to save themselves a bunch of money in order to have, and that's why they can do things much cheaper than traditional companies because they don't have them as employees. They don't have to pay for, medical or overtime or whatever. And you go, well, that's not right. But on the other hand, where I usually come down on it is when you go, you're taking advantage of this person who is driving for your company. And my feeling is you don't have to drive for the company. If you don't want to be an independent photographer in Los Angeles, and we're getting away from the journalists who write for numbers of newspapers and work part-time or whatever it is, you don't have to do anything if you feel like you're being taken advantage of. Now, back in the day, we'd put you in a sweatshop and lock the door, and you'd be 11 and you had to make shoes or whatever it was. We used to have that in the United States. But now, most of the people I talk to who drive for Uber, and I would talk to a lot of the drivers, were like, yeah, I like it. I make good money. Yeah. I do it on my own terms. And
you're right. My guess is that of our listeners who are Uber or Lyft drivers, the majority, I'm imagining, want to be like, yeah, just please let me drive and make some money. I don't think I can't imagine they care too much about being independent contractors versus employees.
Well, remember,
let me have a vacation.
They did want to unionize because they thought they were getting screwed in terms of the cut that the company takes. For each, whatever it is, if it's a $10 trip, I don't know what the percentage, but they thought it was hefty.
It's a balance. It's going to be hard to strike perfectly, but to me, the ultimate decider is you don't have to work for Uber or Lyft. If you feel like they're being unfair or you should be an employee and you should get full benefits or whatever, then you got to go to In-N-Out Burger and get a job.
Yeah, the CEO of Uber actually wrote a piece in the New York Times at the beginning of this week kind of stating that he's calling for a change in the employment system and that it's flawed inherently. And he says in public surveys over the last decade, the vast majority of drivers have said they don't want to be employees because of how much they value flexibility.
Yeah, I'm always on the side of the smart guys and never on the side of the government when it comes to we're imposing this thing that's going to help these people.
Well, and that's what I don't understand. And I'm coming at this from a fairly naive place, so please help me understand it. If they think they're helping the worker, then they're wrong. I had to incorporate. I had to spend money that I didn't have to become a corporation so I could work for certain, voiceover and certain other things because they weren't allowed to hire an independent contractor. I lost money on that. It's very expensive to do that. And I don't know, am I being helped because I had to form a company to do a job I was doing already? I don't understand. How did that help me?
I always kind of feel like it's like SAG and AFTRA. Like, hey, we're going to force you to join our union and then we're going to help you. And it's like, I'd like to not join your union. Well, you have to, so we can help you. So I think the government is a little that way as well. What else we got, Gina?
So you probably know this by now, but we hadn't discussed it. We talked about college, but NFL players were given until last Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. to tell the league whether or not they're going to play the upcoming season due to COVID-19. At the deadline, 66 players had submitted their decision not to play in the upcoming season. Only 3 teams recorded no opt-outs. Any thoughts on who those were?
Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
I follow the 49ers, and I don't remember any 49er opting out.
According to this report, the Falcons, the Chargers, and the Steelers.
Oh.
Doesn't seem to be
they're
a lot
have
of
a full squad.
Rhyme or reason there. So no opt-outs for those 3 teams. I wonder what the
66 overall.
66 out of 30. So it's like two people per team or something in that neighborhood. Wait a minute. No, sorry. 4 people. 3.5.
No, it's 32 teams.
As a third, I'm trying to do the math. Yeah, okay.
It's a little over 2 per team, but
yeah, a little over 2 per team. Not too bad.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, they showed a couple people. Nobody made big, the marquee light bulbs around. Oh my God, this is our star player. So I don't know if it's anyone that mainstream people who aren't crazy football hardcores will miss, or if you're going to have them on your fantasy team.
I don't know. The beauty of the sport of football is no 1 or 2 guys can affect the team as much as they could as if, a couple guys on the Lakers decided to sit, or a couple of guys in other sporting venues. I don't even know. I don't know. I'm not sure if soccer's that way more so or not. But in football, if there's one thing that Bill Belichick has taught us over the last 20 years is that you can swap this guy for that guy and do some winning.
That's funny you mentioned that. Actually, I think it was a number of Patriots. I think the Patriots had a few notable names, like Jamie Collins and a couple of notable kind of names, not household names, but notable names to football fans. So it'll be interesting to see if Belichick can kind of reload, or if this is kind of an off year. Let's play for a draft pick.
Or maybe Belichick is hedging his bets with the first year without Brady, paying out a couple of notable names to sit out so he can go, well, we didn't have our starting cornerbacks either.
Yep.
Although he's not doing that.
Savvy.
Yeah. Let's do one more, Gina Grad.
All right. So, when you go through the obits, they're pretty sad, and we hear about how wonderful people were and who they'll be missed by.
You know what I feel? I'll tell you what I feel bad about for the celebrity or the notable obits for this period we're in. It's the reason we should all feel sorry for Farrah Fawcett for dying on the same day as Michael Jackson. This time has been such a weird time that any celebrity that dies, I have no memory of it.
Yeah.
It's like I can't remember who died. And there's been a few, notable people that have passed in this time period. And it's all just kind of water off the duck's back for me. It's not been an imprint or stamp in my brain.
This would lead the news every night had it not been this time with COVID and with rioting. And by the way, Sumner Redstone died, which it did make me think of you.
When did
he was
I didn't hear that.
Just died yesterday, I believe, or the day before. He was 97. Would you like to know what he died of?
Broken heart?
That guy just sounds insane to me, the stories, the girls and the stuff. But
he was a code breaker in World War II.
Jesus Christ. All right, I'll do an old Jeff Ross bit. He was 97. You're going to ask me what he died of?
Yeah.
His dune buggy turned over on the turnpike.
I knew you'd get it.
Yeah, that was
natural causes.
Natural causes.
So like that, that didn't lead the news in anything.
Not at all. Didn't even hear one peep about it.
Yeah. So a 25-year-old died recently in upstate New York, and the family, of course, mourning the loss of this kid, 25 years old. His name's Cody James Holland. They said he was a free-spirited corrections officer, and they didn't pull any punches as to why he died. They said he died because he was a dumbass, according to the obituary. Holland's obituary.
His family wrote that?
Yes. And here's why. I'm going to read you the obituary. Cody James left us on August 8th, 2020, as a result of injuries sustained from being a dumbass. He drank, drove, and didn't wear his seatbelt. Please don't be a dumbass. It goes on to describe Holland, who loved his middle finger and showing his butt to the world. His mother, Colleen Lynch, says she chose to make the obituary brutally honest because he was doing dumbass things. And she said, if this obituary makes even one person rethink drinking and driving, then I have no regrets.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
It's look, tough love to the grave.
Toast.
That is
beyond.
That's interesting parenting. I would argue, though, it's like you complaining about your kid being a total piece of shit. Isn't some of that on the parenting? I don't know if you guys.
Sunny?
If you guys are nature or nurture fans, but this one's nature or nurture. Either way, He sprung from your loins, and he's a disrespectful sack of shit who can't hold his...
Avenue, you go down, and he's going to look bad on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is.
She only has so much awareness. She has awareness, but not self-awareness.
I would argue that that's part of the problem, this person's lack of introspection when it comes to child rearing.
Yeah.
Fair.
All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.